This is episode number 165 of the Smart Marketing Show, Strategizing Your Landing Pages, Part 2. Thank you to our sponsors, ServerPress, Maker's Desktop Server. They make local WordPress development easy. Check them out over at serverpress.com. And your name here, it's not a company, but it could be. And if it's your company, let us know. Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com to check it out. And as well, you can go to patreon.com/WPwatercooler and you can support us over there. I'm Jason Tucker. I'm an IT developer or IT director and a web developer. Jason Tucker. And this is Bridget Willard, my friend and co-host. She's a marketing consultant. You can find her at YouTube Can Be a Guru. And our friend Jen Miller over at Nextdoor Marketer. Check her out at Jen Blogs for You. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Did everything go okay with that? I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that was great.
Good. I'm always self-conscious. I don't know why.
It happens to all of us. We do this stuff on video and then we're like, oh no. Don't watch the replay.
Right, exactly. So we have our friend Jen on the show today. How's it going, Jen?
Things are going really well.
Good.
I love
a little bit calmer than usual for this time of year, and that's nice because it's summertime, so.
Summertime and you have peonies.
Oh, seriously. Aren't they beautiful?
But how do you say it? I've never heard anybody say the word.
On the West Coast, you say peonies.
Peonies.
In Chicago and the East Coast, I think it's usually peonies, or it can get a little sketchy how you say it. So
I mean, that's kind of interesting how you brought that up, because a lot of times we talk about local SEO and how it matters when you're making landing pages for different regions. And you and I have worked together with franchise development doing that kind of work. And it totally ties into this subject.
Absolutely. Well, and it's the words you use, it's the pronunciations, and because, things flow and you have to be able to hear it in your head. The copy has to speak to you because it's going to speak to whoever's reading it. And so if it doesn't sound good, it's not going to work. So if you're using a word, Jason, we lost you, that's not necessarily going to sound great with that copy because of the local dialect, you want to change it up a little.
It's even worse on radio ads, because around here you could tell when people they say it's San Juan Capistrano. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're not from here. And right. And even the locals say San Clemente, they say San Clemente, many, M-A-N-Y, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So when you're strategizing for your landing pages and you're trying to work out different kind of localized copy, like, okay, let me go backwards. Landing pages. When you are trying to reach several different geographic areas, how does that affect the strategy of the landing page?
Well, you have to get to know those several different areas, because landing pages are all about intent and answering the question for the potential visitor. So you want to make sure that you are asking that question in the appropriate way and that you're answering it in the appropriate way. If somebody refers to, I'm trying to think of something that's localized in different areas.
There's always like plumbing, and there's
barbecue is classic.
That's true.
Well, that's definitely one.
Well, because remember Ben Meredith.
Right, it's an action, not
North Carolina. He's like, you eat barbecue that you grill at the event, which is called a cookout.
Right.
Whereas in California, it's all barbecue.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But even beyond, like, there are lots of, and unless you know the product and know the word, you're not going to know what different people call, but home siding, might be called something different in, back east, or they may
Maybe
use
it's stucco.
different products.
Yeah.
We use MDB a lot out here, and some places use wood and some places use brick and stucco. And this weekend, my dad was out for Father's Day, and I was telling him how I wanted to put some art out on my porch. And I said, but I just don't know how to screw it into the wall, because it's all new stuff for me to be doing on my own. And he's like, well, it's just stucco. And I'm like, I know. So like, does it have anything to hang on? And so he had to explain to me how you put the studs in, and then the paper, and then and it was just this whole learning process for me to be able to understand that I, could put something out on my porch on the wall. And that's what we have to explain to clients all the time. We're answering the question of, how does this happen? How can I do something? And so we've got to make sure that we frame it in a reference point that they could understand.
Oh, yeah. And in their language.
Yes.
Because
exactly.
they're going to say, how do I put this on my porch? And they might even not know the word stucco.
Right.
And there's no stucco in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's all brick.
Exactly. So totally different process for how you would do it. Yeah. So
that has to be a tricky thing to navigate when you're writing for, if you're writing for someone else for a particular region, having to do all that additional research to kind of figure out what's what, especially if you're, for instance, if you're a company who has multiple locations throughout the country, those landing pages and the way that they're going to be written is going to be really, really important, because the local folks there are going to be Googling that and going like, what the heck's a stucco? Like,
no,
we don't
seriously.
use that here.
Well, and you only have one chance, right? So you have to capture them immediately. So you have to capture them in their language. And there is a national vendor that I was working with recently who they call themselves something different in California than they do throughout the rest of the nation. And that's because they have to position themselves differently. So even though they're one big company, their blog posts have to be tailored to areas that have snow versus areas that have Southern California climate year round versus areas that are, have a lot of rain. Right. All of these different segments have different needs, and the content has to reflect that.
I mean, that is so true. I was writing for a roofing company on Long Island, and it covered a couple of different counties, or half of one county and another one. And my Uncle Jack lives there, so my cousin, I was like, they're saying this. The company that hired me is saying this, like all these cities. What would you call it as somebody who's from Long Island and currently lives there? Oh, she just said this, blah, 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 whatever she said. I'm like, okay, that's when like my network really comes in handy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wait, who do I know from Chicago? Who do I know from?
Right. Well, and I have a client in Nassau County, and it's probably pronounced Nassau now that I think about it. Yeah. But I see things how I say things how I see them usually.
Right, because we're readers.
Right. It's like in Arizona we've got Prescott, which looks like Prescott, but if you say that, you're so.
Oh my gosh, totally! I got in so much trouble saying Prescott. They're like, it's Bridget, it's Prescott, like biscuit. I'm like, okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's like Portsmouth versus Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Another one. Yeah.
But county to county, there are tiny variations, even within a state or a region. And so it's super important that people do their research. And usually if you own the company and you're writing your own landing page, you have that vibe. You already know what those different markets are like. And so you know how you have to target your advertising. A lot of realtors target by zip code because they know that this is going to be important in this area. But with the, if you take someone from the outside even if they're if they're in the United States, but from a different state, there are nuances that they're going to need to research and learn before they can be an effective copywriter for that area. National campaigns are a little bit different, and sometimes you'll see that they're a little bit odd if they don't switch it up. And, sometimes they can get good press off of that because people think it's funny. But most of the time, regionally is what you want to do when you're doing a national campaign. You want to segment out and watch for that. So with a landing page, though, you're gearing it to a specific audience. So you know that audience, or you should know that audience as a company, and you should be able to gear whoever's creating that copy, creating that landing page to that specific audience so that they can focus on the one offer and make it happen, which is different from your homepage, right? Because your homepage may have 5, 10, 21, who knows, offers and opportunities on it. But those pages that are designated as landing pages are going to be for one thing. And so because of that, you can tailor that content. So
you and I were talking about this the other day on the phone. And I always mention, because I listen to ESPN radio, they're like, go to linkedin.com/jobs, linkedin.com/jobs, And so from a strategy perspective, what's the difference between having a subdomain, jobs.linkedin.com, versus linkedin.com/jobs? Like, what is the role of subdomains in landing page strategy?
Okay, so there's subdomains or subdirectories, right? So linkedin.com/jobs would be a subdirectory. It's another folder on that site using that main domain. And I would say that's the preferred way, but it's not the only way, because you could also do jobs.linkedin.com, which would be using a subdomain. And if you, either way, Google's going to see it the same. So it's still going to be indexed. It's still going to be able to bring in traffic. You're not going to have a penalty there. I don't know, years ago, they used to say that there wasn't an issue there, but Google has come forth and said, no, it's okay. We're intelligent enough. Our little spiders and crawlers know how to read subdomains versus domains, and we can tell that they're related. Occasionally, if it's something really funky, that may not happen, but for the most part, it's pretty much accepted. I prefer to have people know the domain name so that even if they can't find that specific page, if they don't remember /jobs, they can get to LinkedIn and they can do a site search. They can look at other things on the homepage, and they can try to figure out how to get to where they want. The reason why, whether you do a subdomain or a main domain, you want to have an extension that says what it is you want people to look for is because there's two reasons, really. One reason is you want them to be able to find it easily and recognize it when they're on the correct page. But the second reason is that you want search engines to be able to index that page. If you're after a long-term strategy, and not everyone is. Okay, there are people who want to run advertising, and they'll just buy a domain simply for one campaign. And it'll be a seasonal campaign, or it'll be something that they are offering a product for 3 months, and then they're going to stop and just get out of the industry. If that's what you're doing, SEO matters a lot less. Except for with a seasonal campaign, I would still say attach that to your main domain, /Black Friday or whatever, and then use it again the next year. Because if you leave it up, you're going to get SEO value over time. And when people search Black Friday, even if it's 4th of July, they're going to be able to come to that page. And if it's not active, they'll at least still be having some brand awareness there. And maybe they'll reach out because they're looking for one of the products that's still sitting on that page because you haven't updated it.
Yeah, that whole subdomain thing bothers a lot of non-technical people. Because what they typically will say is they'll say, no, this is not you, Bridget. They would say, do I have to put www before it?
Yeah. Do you?
Like, that's where, no.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I am the non-technical.
That's the thing that it's like, if you can remove that from the equation of not having someone ask that question, then you're fine. Just like if you just go to like WPwatercooler.com or www.WPwatercooler, like there's so many words you have to say to be able to say one versus the other.
Plus,
Well,
we
it
don't
all
really.
leads to the same place, you know, but the root is what is that base domain. And
Right.
so if you can get people to your base domain, you can keep them.
Yeah.
If
I mean, there's reasons for using a subdomain that's more on the technology side of it. For instance, if you have the thing hosted someplace else, that landing page is going to be hosted on some other server someplace.
Exactly.
Then you'd have to do that. Without doing that, you'd have to do a whole bunch of like weird reverse proxy things and whatever else to kind of make it all happen. Right. But yeah, if you wanted to just have it go through some special system that you're going through, or your marketing company has some special system that they want you to go through for the landing page, okay, I get it. But really, yeah, I would do what Jen's saying. Just put as a subdirectory on it, and you're good to go.
Right. And also, if you're a large news company or a government, or you are an international presence, so you know you might put Europe.domain.com. You know, because you're speaking to different audiences. You might even do that for every state if you're an insurance company, you know, or something, and you really want to provide information on specific policies for that area. Or Bridget, you were just talking to me about some Medicare articles you were writing, right? So if there was a deviation on those per area, then that might be something that you would want to have, you know, Arizona.medicare.gov, you know, right. That type of thing.
Right.
And that's
it's all about how you set up your site structure. And that comes like way in the very beginning, and you can add these pieces to it later, but it's way better to, if you're just starting out or launching a new brand, to sort of think through the process and see how you want it to be set up, and go from there. When we talk about landing pages specifically, there really are a lot of companies that will let you host with them because it's just a one page. It's for an ad campaign. That's why you're putting together this landing page versus having it nestled into your website. There are a lot of people who come on and all they have is a landing page. They haven't even gotten to the website phase yet, you know, because they're trying to make some money first. And so in that case, I would suggest still buying your own domain. You may host there, but you want people to start to recognize your brand. So spend the extra $10 to buy the domain and use it on that hosted solution that you will lose, because what happens is that when you are paying for the ad, you'll have the web presence. But as soon as you stop paying for that advertising and for that company, you're going to lose everything. And so you really didn't build a business. You had an opportunity, but if you want it to be lasting, it needs to be connected to your hub, to your branding, to your domain.
So, can we talk about Instagram and landing pages?
We can.
But first you have to click on my bio link.
Yeah. Link in bio, hashtag link in bio. Why does it say hashtag? I mean, that makes no sense. You're not going to click on a hashtag that says link in bio and then see all the other posts that have link in bio. Why would you want that? That's another rant. Okay. So I know a lot of coaches that do this. And they will say, okay, blah, blah, blah. I have this event, sign up, link in bio, and it's a landing page. It's a landing page with a checkout. Okay. So they're using some service to collect money.
Right.
But it's not branded at all.
That is actually
the branding is not the same as their website.
Right. Right. Okay. So that is one of the reasons. An event is a classic reason to have an independent landing page, because once that event is over, do you really want it hanging out on your site? Maybe, if the copy's good enough and you're going to be offering that as a every year kind of service or event, and you just need to update the date information, then maybe you want it to be on your website. But if it's a one-time thing and you're just trying to like bring people in for a modeling session in a new community, then that's something that you don't need to build a website around. Your website could have all of your events listed within a link to the Eventbrite page or the Facebook event page, whatever it is. But it's not necessarily something that you need to keep on your website, that specific events information. So that's why you would do something like that.
Well, what about having a history of having events and then testimonials about people who attended those events?
You definitely could.
I mean, Meetup has that history. So like when you decide, oh, what is this? I mean, to me, I would want to look at past events and see how many people attended, see if it was worth my time, especially if it costs $400 or something, right? Because we even do that on Meetup, like, oh, how many people went and who's commenting and.
Right, and that's exactly why Eventbrite, Meetup, those kinds of portals exist, is because they give that history. They allow you to tap into an audience you don't already have. And they allow, like Meetup especially refers to similar events. And so it can be really advantageous to use a landing page with your social media specifically for that, and just direct traffic to something like that. The problem is that if you're using something that's on someone else's system and it's not set up as a landing page, you're going to have a navigation bar at the top. You're going to have other call to actions on the page. It's not going to be just that one targeted offer. And so if you're trying to get someone to sign up for your list, if you're trying to get someone to attend your event, if you're trying to get someone to sign up for a webinar or fill out a form, any of those kinds of things, you have to have enough control to be able to do that. And oftentimes the only way to have that control is to have it on your own site.
So would you recommend having PayPal or Stripe or something? Some kind of checkout card on your own website instead of?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if you get on your own website, at least you're getting the analytics out of it. I always see people use on Instagram, they'll use Linktree, and Linktree has a free as well as a free plan for free forever, and then they have a $6 plan per month. With the free one, you don't even know how many people are going to it, other than the total views that are on there. And at the church I work at, they were playing around with a couple different ways. They had a record release party that they were trying to promote for the band, for the church band, and so they were trying to get that whole thing going. And they were using a couple different like smarturl.it or something, like all these different ones that had no way to get any of the analytics out of it other than the ones that they wanted to give you. And I was like, we could just make a landing page. Like, let's just build our own and do it. And if you recall, we went through this whole thing of building custom landing pages using Beaver Builder just to control this stuff ourselves. So I think, if you could build your site to have that custom landing page, great. And at least if, I always go back to like, what happens if somebody drops the ball and they don't update that bio link, and then they go to this page that doesn't even have a call to action. It just says like, the event is over. And you're like, cool, but I wanted to go to the next event. Now I have to
so at least you could 301 it or something.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, like,
well, you can if it's your own platform.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
or if you had other stuff on there, at least they're not hitting a dead end. They're going to at least have a few other places that they could go to, as options.
Right. Well, and like if they're on your own website, people have gotten so creative with 404 pages,
right?
That it's kind of fun to sometimes find one that by accident, to find a page that's the error page, because it might lead you to something you didn't even know existed on that site because it's been creatively constructed.
Yeah, for sure. Because Rhonda redesigned my site with all the DIY cooking things. my 404 page has like flour and broken eggs all over the place. It's really funny.
That's fun.
But that's what so I wouldn't consider myself very technical, but I do have the 301 redirects plugin on my website.
Right.
And it's not that difficult, which is amazing, actually. You just put the slug in and then change the slug and it works, because for me, I've been auditing my content. And, this isn't the beginner episode for landing pages, but just in case somebody's watching that hasn't seen this, landing pages aren't in your navigation. So just a heads up, if you have your website set to every new page, it's added to your main menu. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to turn that off or go to your menu in the appearance menus in WordPress. And
not technical, huh, Bridget? Okay, I see you.
Hey, I mean, that happened. Because I make landing pages because I have franchise group training. I've done that, and it's specific to franchisees. And then I do social media group training, and then I do small biz social media group training. So then you add a landing page, and all of a sudden it's on your navigation. And if you had somebody design your website, but now it's DIY, they did all the pretty work, and now it's your turn, and you just totally obliterated your design. So be cognizant of that. I learned that by making the mistake. That's not oh, Bridget, of course you would not automatically add them.
That's kind of like unchecking the box that says to let the search engines index your site.
Yes.
It's just one of those things that people sometimes miss. And then they ask for help. So you go look and you're like, oh, well, it's just this one little checkbox.
Remember before the ship went away, you're supposed to whack it with the champagne? You never whacked it with the champagne. No one knows it exists.
Oh, so that's what happened to the Titanic.
Right.
Properly blessed. No,
they wait till they're on board.
Right. So and that's the thing is, even though you are, so sometimes it's not regional is my point. So I offer social media training for groups. The training is the same, but I'm targeting a different audience.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit, Jen, about how you shift your strategy when you have one product, but you want to hit different demographics?
Sure. And also one thing that, since we're talking about some basic strategy too, is that mobile first user. You've got to check your landing pages both on the desktop and mobile, and try a couple different things, because sometimes things look differently on tablets, iPads, and Surfaces, the Surface computer, than they do on your iPhone or your Android, and so you just want to make sure, when you're putting in a headline, this all works with what we're about to talk about, Bridget, but you don't want it to be truncated or cut off. You want to have everything that you want seen to be seen. And so you've got to make sure that works on every device that someone might be accessing your content from. So when we're talking about specific demographics, we're looking at age. So if you're talking with an older audience, you may want to make your text a little bigger. Okay. And maybe keep your sentences a little shorter too, just so that you're delivering the point easily. We also look at areas. If you're going to different parts of the country or internationally, you want to be able to make sure that your offer is speaking to them, and using the words that they're used to, as we talked about before, but also pays attention to where they're coming from. So
their mindset, you mean?
Yeah, their mindset and their weather and their what struggles did they have that day. You may not do a full-fledged persona, but you need to know what that viewer is going through so that you can cater your offering to their specific needs. With social media services, you're looking at their industry and the And so you're going a little deeper because in looking at their industry, if you're doing advertising for them, you need to consider what their audience is, because they're going to be responding as if they were a member of their audience. Does that all make sense?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I mean, this is the regional stuff just gets me though, because it's so true. Even in California, if you say the South Bay here, we're talking about Torrance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say the South Bay up near San Francisco.
Different area. And well, and how many times have you seen advertising in California where they use the word Cali? Southern Californians, at least, are just totally not about.
Never say Cali. Okay, this is the one thing that I'm really upset about with LL Cool J, because going back to Cali.
Right.
And anytime somebody says Cali, I just say to them, Native Californians never call that. Well, what do they call it? We call it California.
Or Southern California, Northern California,
Right.
Bay Area, like you're saying.
Yeah, my sister's up in the Bay Area, and I left a long time ago, so basically I'm from Southern California now. But so I'll talk about San Francisco, and I'll say Frisco, because we have Frisco burgers down here. She goes, "No, Bridget, did you not get raised up here? It's either San Francisco or the city, and that's it."
Or the city. That's awesome.
The city.
Right.
And I had trouble when I moved down here because all my friends were going like, "We're going to the river," and I kept saying, "What river?
Which river?
The river, duh.
What? Yeah, which river?" Because I lived in Fresno. We had the Merced, we had the Kern, plus Sacramento. People went to the Russian River. They went to, wherever, a bunch of rivers. And I used to camp by the Big Sur River, which is more of a creek.
And they're going to take the 5 or the 60 to get there.
Yeah, we don't say in
the
Northern
60
California.
or the 5, right? Whereas other parts of the country would never say the word the before.
Interstate or highway.
Well,
yeah.
No, not just other parts of the country, other parts of California.
Really?
We never said the 5.
Are you kidding?
No.
I didn't know that. I thought that was a California entirely thing.
Southern California. We would say we're going on the San Diego Freeway, or we're going on. You take Highway 68. You take Highway 68 to 1. Do you know how long it took me to figure out what Pacific Coast Highway was? I mean, PCH. We didn't call Highway 1 PCH, and I live, a block and a half from PCH.
Right,
so,
right.
like, all that stuff. And so when new people come here, like I have a friend from Austin, and he's saying San Clemente, I'm like, just so you know, people say San Clemente.
Mm-hmm.
And they might say Estrella, and like things are going to be really wrong, and your Hispanic is going to offend you, but like
that's just Orange
County, right?
That's awesome.
So, like, that's the whole thing. The regionality is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. And then the pop culture with LL Cool J saying, going back to Cali.
Right.
I mean, the only thing I knew about from El Segundo was I left my wallet in El Segundo. I didn't know.
Even the Beastie Boys do that. Come on.
Right? No, because I wasn't from here. And
right.
To me, living in technically Central California, anything south of Santa Barbara was LA. And then people were like, "Oh, you're LA." I'm like, I was part of that movement on LinkedIn called We Are Orange County, because it wouldn't let us say that our area is Orange County. Because literally Dana Point is 65 miles from San Diego and 65 miles from Los Angeles. We're not LA and we're not San Diego, but if we had to pick, it's going to be San Diego. So sorry.
Well, and I lived in Seal Beach. So Seal Beach is right on the verge of Long Beach, which is LA. And, Orange County, because it is Orange County. But people always mess that up. And, it was hard because I was identifying with both counties, and both counties are very different.
Very different. So imagine my surprise when I find out they're going to the Colorado River, which isn't even in California.
Right.
They're going to Lake Havasu. And then, what I'm saying? Like, and so, or even like really like, surfers do that thing where they name beaches.
Yeah, the Wedge.
The Wedge, yeah.
Okay.
Wedge,
And like
Newport.
the wedges of salad, okay, and also, so like we used to have our church picnics at Hole in the Fence, and I had to ask, where's Hole in the Fence? Well,
Awesome.
it's Capistrano Beach, which is in a point, but literally they cut a hole in the fence and crossed the railroad tracks,
Right.
T Street or Old Man's or whatever. Like, so if you're marketing retail, things that are related to surf culture, and you outsource it to a marketing company, like say they outsourced it to me and I don't have experience with that. I don't know Old Man's. I know where Old Man's is now, but like, you know what I mean? And so I'm getting copy from a company that does regionalized pages. They're asking they're asking information from their client for the geographic information. And I'm telling my client, you need to ask what the locals call it, because I don't know. Right? So it's you're 3 people away from the client. Right? So as marketers, we need to ask those questions when we're in the discovery process of making those landing pages, right, Jen?
Absolutely. Well, and you know, with my company, I have a team of writers and we do deep dives on research. And that's one of the things that we kind of like to do. And so if we can't get that information from the client, what we often do is we look at review sites. We look at, you know, for like parks and for restaurants, we see what the people who live there are writing about and the language they're writing in, because oftentimes that's going to give you way more in-depth feelings on the actual culture of the area than reading the Chamber of Commerce page or going to Wikipedia. You know, those sources really don't give the information that you need to be able to write the copy. So you've got to understand where the people who are going to eventually read your copy, where they're coming from. So that's sort of my like quick how to get a good take on an area, is to look at Nextdoor for that specific area, or look at I think it's vibe.com. There are several different sources that we use, and not all of them are in all communities. There used to be some newspapers that were very community oriented that you could go to, but you can't find those near as much anymore because the economy's just taking them away.
So,
you know? Or the web, one way or another, they disappeared.
No, seriously, like before I get to my next question, I'm rewatching the Rick Burns documentary on New York, which is amazing. And as people started really, it's New York City, it's about New York City. As New York City started really expanding, newspapers were the only way they knew what was going on, because even if it was a 1 or 2 mile radius, there were so many different cultures. People were just in their block, literally, and they just stayed there. And so that was the whole history of the boom of these newspapers that were talking about murders and all this stuff. And I was just like, whoa, like rewatching it as a 47-year-old is a little different than when it first came out.
Right.
Because I'm thinking about it from a marketing perspective, and they were like penny pieces. It was just 1 page, and it kind of does segue. So like landing pages, like we know it shouldn't have a whole lot of navigation, no sidebar, but how many words does it really need, Jen?
It depends on the offering. It does not need to be long form. A lot of times you'll see there are trends, right? And there are lots of landing pages that state it, bullet point it, state it again, state it a different way, bullet point it a different way, have a sign up now, and they may be, 20 inches long of copy and interesting stories, testimonials, all the things are on that page, and that might work for certain products. But some landing pages are you interested in learning about such and such? Find out more here. And there's just a simple form, and that can be just as effective. Those long page long form landing pages are going to do better SEO wise, but that doesn't mean they're more effective for getting the conversion. And the most important thing to remember for that conversion is to have one offer and make it obvious how to sign up. You know, you can use your colors. Orange is friendly and cheerful. You know, yellow has warmth to it and some clarity maybe. Blue is calming. Green may make you think of growth. We used to say orange and green were the two colors that people reacted to best. I don't know what the current studies are on that, if that's changed. I generally recommend that someone chooses a color that matches their brand but is bright, and so that you can see that button that you need to click. And I recommend that your form not have 12 fields of information. You know, you need their name, their email, their phone number. You may not need their phone number. It just depends on what you need to gather from that person. A lot of times, because we want to be compliant, we've got to have a little box on there that says I agree to sign up. And so you've got to make that obvious, because otherwise people get frustrated if they try to push the button and it doesn't go through. So you've got to just have that box clickable and easy. I don't recommend CAPTCHA on landing pages, because you may want those on your blog pages. You may want those on other pages in your website. But on a landing page, if you're getting a bad email address, fine. You just throw out that lead. But if you put that CAPTCHA on, that's gonna, you know, if someone doesn't recognize all the fire hydrants, how fast do they get frustrated, right? Or if if the 6 and the 9 look too similar, you know, you don't want to frustrate someone who is potentially interested in your service, because the goal is get that initial piece of information, whether it's their phone number, their address, their email, whatever it is you're trying to collect. And then you're going to nurture them through your funnel to get them to purchase that product. And in some cases, they may be purchasing from that first form. And then, like you were saying, do you want PayPal on there? Do you want Stripe on there? You want whatever is easiest.
Yeah.
Okay? Whatever is going to require the least amount of figuring out for that person to do. I'll tell you, anytime I'm buying something online, which I do frequently, anything that will just automatically fill in the form for me, I'm 100% about. But if I have to retype, most of the time I leave that page. And that's just my personal idiosyncrasy.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened to me with a GoFundMe.
Well, I don't have to tell them anything. They just take care of it.
I was on a GoFundMe this weekend. I've been better about shutting down my computer, and you know, Chrome remembers all my stuff. My phone doesn't, and I'm like, I'll do it later. Which who knows if I will.
And Jason's sitting there going, Chrome, you have your browser remembering your passwords. Bridget, don't do that.
The thing is,
I at least use LastPass.
It does bring up a smart thing, though, in that with what you mentioned with the forms, like run a test through those forms on your phone and make sure that it does the autofills for the first name, last name, email address, city, state, zip, phone number. If you're asking for all these questions, at least make sure it's going to fill them all in for you. Right. Most people, they think that they need to build those forms out using just like basic inbox or basic inputs, you know, and if you're using something like Gravity Forms or any of these like other smarter form systems, they know to tell the browser on your phone, this is your first name, this is your last name, this is your email address. So if you use the ones that are already pre-built, the pre-generated ones, those have the smarts in it that's going to tell the phone, this is what this is, fill it in for you. And you'll even do the whole like put your email address in twice, because it knows it typed it incorrectly because it pulled it out of its little brain and stuck it in there. So yeah, like, you know, test those things and make sure that it works correctly.
And if you are doing regional marketing and you have something on the form where you want people to choose a state or something, if you know they're from Wyoming, like let it autofill. Don't make them scroll down on their phone for forever to get to
W with the thing that
yeah, it sounds like you're playing the lottery, you know.
Yeah. That's when I'm glad I live in California. not Vermont. Oh, I can't move to Vermont. It's at the end of the alphabet.
It was one of the reasons I moved to Arizona. No joke.
Well, I mean, convenience. That's why I like paying with PayPal, because
What
when
they
I'm
didn't
on my
have-
phone, I can just do it.
But you didn't move to Aardvark, Arizona. See, if you would have done that, then you would have hit all the A's.
Oh, my
It's
town
all right.
starts with
There's
a
still
B.
time.
And I'm
There's still
close.
time.
Pretty close.
Well, let's how about let's transition into our tour tip of the week time. Our tour tip of the week is not brought by any of you. You know why? Because you haven't given us any money for us to talk about you, and we would love to talk about you. If you go over to our website over at WPwatercooler.com/sponsor, you can learn how to sponsor this particular segment. You can go to WPwatercooler.com/sponsor. Sponsored by WPwatercooler.com/sponsor.
Sponsored by our time and
Right.
and the myriads of information that we have. So mine is Howler Timer. It's an app in the App Store for my Mac. And I've tried some other timers, and when I couldn't turn them off, I was just so mad. I had to restart my computer to turn this thing off. No. So okay, Bridget, why do you want a timer on your computer, on your actual MacBook Pro, when you have a telephone that does that for you? I'm so glad that you asked. So sometimes I write, and I'm also doing laundry. So, and it's kind of cool because like the first load is 35 minutes and then it dries 45 minutes. And when I'm doing laundry here, if I have quarters, I don't have to go to the laundromat. That's why I like to do laundry here, because then I can just focus on that article, and then the timer goes off, and then I switch it and start writing for another article. So Howler Timer, I think it costs like $1 something. I don't know, whatever. Who cares? My laundry costs $2 to dry. So let's have some context here. And it's cute because it's just really simple, and it just has like, how many minutes do you want to go off? And then all of a sudden you'll hear like all these like insects, and then it'll go, oh, 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 oh. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I'm gonna keep it, and I really, really like it. And does it cost, Jason? I can't remember.
It looks like it's free with
Okay.
in-app purchase, which probably means that they give you other howls or something like that.
Yeah.
The pro features are $3.99. Yep.
No, I know, but still, like, it costs me more to do a load of laundry. And then that way I can focus, because I can't have my phone here when I'm writing. I leave it in my bedroom, because even if it's going zzz, 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 like if I'm writing, nobody is allowed to die. But even if you were dying, there's nothing I can do about it. I need to finish this article. Howler Timer. That's my tour tip of the week.
All right.
Oh,
Can I go next?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so mine's not something that's new to most people, but I have been using Sticker Mule for a whole bunch of stuff lately. And we're rolling out a new marketing campaign, and it is so simple. You just upload your artwork, and they send you a proof. Like within 4 hours, you say yes, and it ships, and it's fast. And they have so many different things. You can do clear stickers. You can do, I'm doing one of the box solutions. So we're, having some fun creating the marketing for that. And bumper stickers. I think today they have a special on. And so it's an easy way to get started with a new product or project. If you're doing a landing page specifically, like those holographic stickers, you can get some and buy them in small quantities. I think you can, they will sell them for just one, but I think you get price discounts at 50. And so if you want to start a brand, and that's why you're here listening to the show on landing pages, and you want to find a way to connect that with a tangible piece that you can hand out to people so that you seem like you're a bigger company, or so that your product seems like it has a little more reliability, stickers are a great way to do that. And Sticker Mule makes it easy.
I know, like I started using my stickers that I have, putting them on my grocery store notebooks. So I got mine that Rhonda designed me from Zazzle.
Mhm.
But I think next time I do sticker mule because I really like the die cut ones.
Oh yeah, and they're
Yeah.
easy. They're so easy. So
And you don't have to do anything with it. Like it does the whole outline around the sticker, so it looks nice and clean. It's the ones that when you go to, go to any of the WordCamp and Sticker Mule kind of go hand in hand.
Oh yeah.
There's also Sticker Giant that does one like that as well. But like these companies, it's like they make these stickers that, like recently I bought a new laptop case, and I wanted to put my old stickers on my new laptop case. I just ripped off the stickers and put them back on, and they stuck. Like they still work.
That's the other thing is they stick. So this is a
Yep.
sticker mule one.
right.
PayPal Wapu from WordCamp Europe, I think. Wasn't that where we saw PayPal? Or was it US?
PayPal was there. PayPal was in EU. Mhm.
Yeah. And then this is vendor
They were at
film.
US too, though.
Yeah. And then like Zazzle, like seriously, you just get this big giant sheet, and I had to like cut them out. Like it's more labor for me. Oh.
Yeah, well, okay, so let me just tell you those die cut ones. So this new logo that we're working with is like 3 inches by 1 1/4. It's a horizontal logo, and it's two circles kind of connected. And so I just uploaded the original art, which was in the rectangle, and I said, please die cut this to the actual logo shape, and they did it for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when they sent me the proof, it had a little white border, and I was like, yes.
I thought it had to be designed to be die cut.
Well, it could be, but that would have meant I would have delayed one more day,
Right.
Either I would have had to get into Photoshop, or I would have had to have Autry or Gerwin do some of the work. So
that's worth a little bit of a price.
all right.
Love that. Good job. I love that. That's so perfect for landing pages. What about you, Jason?
Well, last week I promised that I was going to share with you another one of these solutions that I was telling you about, which is having the ability. This company, for instance, sells this little circle that goes on the bottom of your. You can put it on anything. Literally, put it on like the dashboard of your car if you're a Lyft driver, Uber driver. Or if you're someone who's selling something on a cart, you could put this on your cart, and the person can scan it. And what happens is it's a NFC tag. And so what happens is someone goes and takes their phone and they put it right onto this thing, and it's usually at the very top of the phone is where the scanner is. And what it does is it scans this little circle here, and then it'll take them to a website that looks like this. And so you put this on your phone if you wanted to. This is the way that they're presenting it, is put it on your phone, and then you hold your phone up to somebody else, and then they put their phone like this, and you'll scan it. So it's like a quick way of like sharing your contact information.
It's like when we used to beam contact stuff to one another.
Yes, exactly like that. So like, here's mine. So you can kind of go through, and here's like all the different social medias that I have and all the different stuff that I can do on here. And when you tap on one of them, if I go to like this one right here, then it loads up, my Instagram, or it loads up my, whatever it is that you wanted to go click on. And what's neat about these is that it makes it so that you can make these changes, on the fly. You can go on here and change out Instagram. Let's say you're not going to want to show Instagram or show text messaging. You can turn this off, have somebody scan it, and then they'll get whatever version of it that you have currently on there. Wow, this website loves to show FOMO, doesn't it?
Right?
The top's like, somebody bought a thing, and on the bottom's like, you need to buy the thing.
I hate that. I hate those pop-ups so much.
So, and they make them in different colors and stuff. If you wanted to get them in different colors.
I like the gold.
I know, right?
Yeah, so you make them in different colors, and here's the different places you can share. So if you're someone who uses Venmo a lot, and you're the one that ends up having to buy the meal, and you just want people to Venmo you the money real quick, you can just like put this on the table. They can all scan it, Venmo you the money, and it's done.
Or if you are a musician who has a tip jar.
Oh,
that can be your
we
tip
don't
jar.
have
You
any
put a little dot in there.
Okay.
And it has a link that goes to your Spotify, maybe your SoundCloud, if you have a TikTok.
Yeah, put that sticker on your tip jar, so if people don't have cash, they can Venmo you.
Okay, take a step back. I don't have Apple as an app on my phone. How would I scan it?
So as you saw what what she did here, watch, you'll see in just a second when it plays it again, is she goes, it's a missed opportunity. They couldn't talk. Now she goes and holds this up. He doesn't even have anything open on his phone, and it loads up the web browser. Did you see that?
So
it automatically does it? Like,
yes. So NFC,
what do I have to do?
You don't have to do anything. So NFC, when you go and hold something up to an NFC reader, it sends a signal to it saying, I want you to open up this website. And then your phone, being an iPhone or Android, will say, oh, it's an NFC. I'm supposed to do something with this. And so you can control those NFC tags to either have it show a phone number or whatever else. This one's just taking you to a website. So when you go and scan that, it takes you straight to the website.
Okay, so does the other person have to have their camera on, or can I just like walk up to someone in an airport and be like,
yep. If this thing was in
and then they get my information that I put out.
It would pop up. Yep.
It's like AirPlay or, airport, it would just drop it on their phone.
Okay, salesman, how much does it cost?
I think this thing's $20.
Oh my God. The musicians that I know need this so hard.
It's $12.
Bridget,
and if you wanted to build one of these yourself, you can go online and go to Amazon and buy an NFC card, and there's instructions that will help you and set one of these up. But for $12 and you're good to go. And they even do Apple Pay. So
because they're playing, they're busy.
Yeah.
Right? People could just go up to their tip jar, scan it, get their Instagram, get their iTunes link.
Yeah, like the one I showed last week, which I don't have my wallet on me, but was in card form. Yeah. So it's just a credit card that someone scans it. So I probably threw you off, Jen, by showing you somebody having it on their phone. The phone part has nothing to do with it. If you had this thing just in your hand and they scan it, it will take them to that website.
So when you say scanning it,
you take your phone and you put it onto it, and then it goes boop, and then a little notification shows up on the top.
But I don't have to have any device or app open. I just move next to it.
So it's native technology in our iPhones.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it also?
It's just like if you do like Apple Pay or one of those types of payment systems where you just hold your phone up to the thing and it scans it. It's exactly like that. The only difference is this thing's not asking you to unlock your phone or whatever. It just makes a little pop-up come up and you just tap it and you're in. Wow. The one I showed last week also had a QR code on it. So if your phone isn't fancy enough to do this, you could still scan a QR code, which means your phone needs to be at least fancy enough to do QR codes. But at least it would do that too. So it's pretty neat.
Well, the deal with QR codes, though, is you have to open the app, you have to scan.
Well, this thing, you don't have to do any of that. Just hold your, like on an iPhone 10, it's like right in this area up on the top. And you just scan it and then just takes care of it.
Is iPhone 10 the earliest version of iPhone that allows you to do that?
I want to say 10 was the earliest one. Yeah.
That's the same as X, right?
Yes.
I have that. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, go get one of these things. The Popple, it's so cool. It's so cool.
Okay, cool.
And I have one just for the show. So when I go to, when we get to go out and do stuff, I could be able to go boop and just scan it and then, blow people's minds. And then I'll tell them about this episode so they could go watch it. I can put this episode as one of the links in there if I wanted to.
Well, and with this being a remote society currently, right? You can just, you can put it places and people could still.
That's what I'm saying. Literally on their tip jar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Musician is busy. They don't have time to be pulling stuff out, and people are always coming up to them. But they could say, hey, if you want links to my Venmo or my album or my Instagram, just come up to the tip jar and scan the thing.
So it's perfect for social distancing. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Social distancing.
Yeah,
like
big
my
time.
brain is exploding right now.
With
well, I mean, if we ever get to go to a WordCamp again,
right?
that's bomb.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I'll be walking around with
word
these.
counts. What a waste of time. I'm sorry. I have a hard time with that. The reason why we're with, like, I'm going to tell you right now in the last 4 seconds, I'm sick of watching television shows that look like this with everybody's crappy things. I'm not going to any online conferences. I'm already.
Look at Bridget the floor.
I was like, what happened to my friends? No, I'm just saying, like, we're all computered out.
Yeah. I know. I keep turning on Netflix and I'm like, just don't even want to go there. You know, turning right off. So.
But I cannot wait to be.
Time.
But still, when we do get to be around each other, that would be so good.
Handy.
Yeah.
I used to have something called Icon on my phone that was similar, but only people who had Icon could do it. And I loved it. It was an awesome app, but you know, they didn't last. So
they didn't last.
They didn't.
Yeah,
last.
Alrighty.
Sticker, you know, would be so perfect for a low light situation,
like
a bar. For those musicians, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't have cash on me. I can't tip you.
Yeah.
And those guys in Venice that are trying to get you to give them money, I'm like, what's your Venmo? I don't have any cash on me. They could have that thing on their phone, and then you could give them a tip or whatever.
Yeah. That's cool. It's cool.
Well, and you were saying Uber drivers, like.
Yeah.
If you want to tip them instead of through Uber.
Yeah, or if you.
Yeah. If you want to tip your bartender to their Venmo instead of having it go on their taxes.
Yep.
Although, doesn't Venmo still do like 1099s and all that?
I don't
know. Anyway.
All right. I say we wrap up for today. Thank you very much for all of you for hanging out. I want you to watch this quick little outro. See you at the other side. So if you want to support us, like we were just talking about, you can go to patreon.com/WPwatercooler. If you see me at a WordCamp, Patreon's link will be on my little popple. And here's all the folks that helped us out. We really appreciate them and their support every month. And if you like this content, hit subscribe, click the little bell, and you can subscribe to us and be notified of when we put out a new episode. This has been WP Watercooler's shows, and here's all the different links. If you enjoyed the show, we really appreciate it. Go subscribe to us as a podcast. Go to WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, and you can subscribe to any of these places that are down on the bottom there. Talk to y'all later. You have a good one. Bye-bye.